So let's go into eLearningbrothers.com. We'll go into the library here. There's lots of different libraries available. There's a full template library for all of the eLearning producing tools for like Lectora, Adobe Presenter, all of those different authoring tools have templates made by eLearning Brothers in here. But what we're going to be interested in today is the template library and the templates for Camtasia. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Camtasia here. And here are all 328 of the Camtasia templates. Now these are intros, lower thirds, layouts, transitions, all kinds of them. What we're going to work on today is just editing one intro file. So the intro file that I want to open, well, let's sort it. So I'll go to Libraries, Template Library, Camtasia, and then Intros. And here's all of the intro files. There's 47 of them. And what I want is the tech intro. So I'm going to open that up. And if we click on this preview, here's one. There's two intros in this file. So here's one intro. And here's the second intro. Now since I'm on a PC, what I would download is this Camtasia 9 library object, and it's labeled PC. You can also download the Camtasia 3 project file right here for Mac. You can also download graphic source files right here, and then font files. If you want to use the exact same font in the preview, you can download just the font files here. Now I've already downloaded that, and I've imported it into my library. And what I did when I downloaded it is I downloaded the entire theme. So if I click this drop-down menu for tech, here's the entire tech theme. There's two callouts, the two intros that we looked at. There's two layouts, a half overlay, two lower thirds overlays, and two transitions. So let's take this first intro and drag it onto our timeline. And that's what it looks like. It's all grouped together. That's how they come into the library as a group. So I'm going to right-click and click on Ungroup, and that will expand into the separate parts. Looks like there's still 1, 2, 3 groups inside of this group. This top layer is the text, and that's very easy to customize. If I want that text to be a different color, right here on the Properties pane on the right side, I can change that to a different color. Let's make it orange. And I can also change the size here very easily, all in the Properties panel. If I don't like that font, I can come in here to a different font, and it'll change that. I want to keep that in Orbitron, though. I kind of like that. We can change the way it animates on and off of the screen here with this this Behaviors menu here in the Properties. I can change the way it comes in. I can change what it does during. I can change what it does out. What it's doing right now is when it comes in, it grows from left to right, and you can see how that works here. During, it pulses a little bit. You can see that it's pulsing in a left to right pattern. And then out, it's going to shrink from left to right. So it does the same transition as it came in, but still left to right. It just looks like it's going out to the other side. So that's how you would edit the text. This group here is these two hexagonal patterns, and I'm going to ungroup those as well. Now I can change their shape just by clicking on them and dragging. I'm going to undo that. If I want them to stay in the same place, I'll hold down the Control key while I drag, and it'll keep it centered in the same location. So I can change that size. And we can change this other one the same way, this inner circle, or this inner hexagon. Changing their colors is a little bit different. You see that there's not a color swatch option over here. So we're going to come into the visual effects, and we're going to use colorize. And we're going to drag that onto this inner hexagon, the inner layer. You can see it automatically goes to green. Here's the drop down. So I added colorize in my drop down here in the right properties pane. And now I can change these colors. Now it does, what it's doing is it's adding this color to the colors that are already displayed. So since this one, if we get rid of colorize, this one is a silver, kind of a gray. So when we use colorize on it and want it to turn purple, it's a lighter purple displayed on the screen here. Let's see if we can make that a little bit bigger. It's a lighter purple on the canvas than what you've displayed here because it's mixing that color with what is already there. So if I want it to be richer, I can use this section to drag it around and try to make it darker or a different hue. You can also insert a hex code if you want to try to start at a certain color. If your object is white, it's a lot easier to make it match. But again, a lot of our templates are already colored in a certain way, so if you want to get those changed in Camtasia, you'll need to switch them that way. Another thing to keep in mind, this larger hexagon, let's find it in my timeline, this larger hexagon has a gradient on it. You can see that this darker segment is much darker than the lighter side on this side. So when we use colorize on it, that is still present. You can still see that gradient. So as we change those colors, it's going to have that gradient on it as well. And you can change the amount, and you'll find that the amount is almost an opacity of the colorize. So if I keep it like right about 50%, on this gradient, you're seeing almost no red on this left side, the top of the gradient, and more red on the bottom of the gradient. So there's lots of ways to play with it. If you're going for a very specific look, it's pretty difficult to get it exactly how you want right here. So what we've done already, what you can edit in Camtasia, we've looked at changing their behaviors. If there's other animations, if we wanted to change the animations, both of these hexes have behaviors on them, but let's say we wanted to animate them. I'm going to zoom in so it's a little bit larger here on my timeline. If we wanted to actually have these animate, you can add animations at any time. We're going to add animations to both of these, and I'm going to say that at the beginning I want them both low. So when it starts, they're going to get larger but start at the bottom. So they did their behavior. The behavior is all done off screen because of the animation that I stuck on there. But you can adjust the behaviors, the animations, you can change their size, you can change the font, you can change their location. If we wanted the text to pop up on this side and the hexagons to pop up on this side, you can. Very easily movable. And then changing the colors and animations and font. So that's pretty much all you can do in Camtasia as far as editing these easily. You're welcome to, you can crop them if you hit the crop button, and then crop these down. It'll cut the top of it down. You can crop the bottom, so now it's just those lines. You might like that look. That's what's available in Camtasia. Anything that's more intense, if you want to change it to be a very specific look, you'll need to edit that outside of Camtasia, and that's what we'll talk to Nic about. Before we move on to Nic, though, I'm going to jump over to this questions pane and see what we can answer here. Okay, there's a question here from Jill. Can you show us how to expand and show all 7 tracks? We can usually view 2 at a time. Okay, so you're wanting to see all of the tracks here. Is this what you're asking, Jill? I'm looking at your question. You wanted to see all of the tracks. If I right-click, I can ungroup them. So this is a very large group. This is all of the little hexagons in the background. I'm going to hit Control-Z and keep those grouped because they're a little bit easier to handle. But all of these are grouped together for your ease. But you may have to go ahead and dig down into them, ungrouping them to make everything look exactly the way you want it to look. I hope that answered your question, Jill. You're wanting to know, there's another question here about the objects. Are these objects vector files? And again, we'll talk about that when we get into to the actual files. So looks like we don't have any urgent questions here, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Nick. Nick, can you hear us?
Yes, Andrew, I can.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter here. And I will pass the presenting over to you. Thanks, Nick.
Great. Andrew, thank you. So what Andrew has shown you is really great if you don't have access to edit any of our source files outside of Camtasia. But I'm going to show you some things we can do that's a little bit more in depth and to get more specific. So you can see on my screen, this is our theme template called Tech, and I'm going to download these graphic source files. If you also want to preview the fonts correctly, you'll want to also download as well. I have them already installed. Then you'll want to unzip the folder, and you'll get something that looks kind of like this you see here. And then intro 1 is the file that Andrew had pulled up in Camtasia. So I'm going to go ahead and open that AI file. Most of our source files, we have tried to keep a static screen of how it's going to end up on your screen, so you can kind of see how all the pieces together will show up. So you can see that right here. I'll zoom in and show you this piece. So this is not, these pieces are not on artboards, and they will not be saved out. But this is so you can kind of see the overall look and feel of this slide. And let me zoom out a little bit, and I will kind of go through how these files are set up, so you kind of get an idea of where things are at. So our background color is here. There are a lot of options that you can do with Camtasia itself, so you don't have to import your own file. This is a file that I wanted him to use for sure, because it goes along with these other elements that you see here. Also part of our background is this pattern that you kind of see right here. And other elements that animate that go along with this background are over here on these artboards. And I'm going to go to the outline view.
Hey Nick, real quick, there's a question here.
Oh, yes.
Someone wants to know what program you're using to edit these.
Adobe Illustrator. You don't have to use Illustrator if you don't have it. A lot of other vector type software can open these files. You'll be able to edit them as well. They just may not all be in the correct places as far as where things are laid out, or in layers as well, or in groups, as you can see on my screen. They may not all be in this exact same order.
Great, thanks.
So with our background, I'm going to go to View Outline, and this outlines all of the graphics and pieces that are in this file, so you can see anything that may be white or hard to see on the artboard. So these pieces, Andrew has animated in our file to scale and to kind of fade in and out. So that's what those are. And then I'm going to exit outline view. And then these are the pieces right here that build up our shape that I'm going to show you how to edit in here. That's what this is right here. So if I knew that I needed to update this file and maybe change the shape or change our color, I would probably start with this file outside the artboard, so I kind of get an overall look and feel of what I needed it to look like. And so I'm going to select everything and make a copy of it. I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to hold down the Option key and then click and drag. and that will make a copy of everything. And then I know that I don't want to edit our background, so I'm going to click and drag over these elements, background, and Command 2 is going to lock those in place. So you can see that they're locked and I can't move those around. I'm going to do the same thing with this shadow as well. So Command 2 again. Now you can see that I have these elements here that I can move around if I need to, edit them. So if I just wanted to keep the same shape, but maybe change our color around, I'm going to select this outer shape, and I can see that it is a stroke, and I can see that it uses these two colors. So I'm going to use a red, so I'm going to click on my swatch and drag it over there, and then this darker red color, and now you can see that our gradient goes from a light to dark from here to there. I think that looks great, so now I'm going to kind of update some of these other pieces here. I'm going to leave this piece. You can see it has a transparency on it. You can look over here, and also if I move off the side, you can see that it is transparent. Command Z to undo that. So I'm going to leave that as is, kind of to give us our highlight. I'm going to select this shape and go to the fill. The shortcut key to go between a fill and a stroke is X. So you can see if I push X on my keyboard, it goes back and forth. That's really handy to be able to do things really quickly. And I want this to be our lighter red color, so I'm going to click on the red swatch. You can see that it changed. Now this highlight isn't quite as bright as I want it to be, so I'm going to change the opacity right here from 15%. I'm going to take a guess, maybe go up to maybe 25%. Hit return. Maybe that's not quite enough, so maybe I'll bump that up a little bit more. Maybe go up to 40%. And now I think that it's great like that. There's one more shape in here that I want to change, and that's this larger hexagon shape underneath. You can see that it has a fill also of this dark blue. And I want to change it to this dark red color. So I'm going to click and change that. You can see that it's updated. And then actually there is one more shape I'm going to change. This one that's gray, I'm going to change that to white. So I'm liking how this is looking. Maybe I want to change the fonts a little bit. So I'm going to select those. Let's look at this. I like this sans font, and maybe want to change this to a different weight, just so I can see how it's going to look. This isn't really so much a piece that's going to get exported and brought into Camtasia, but it's more just so I have an overall idea of how this piece could look when it's done. Or if I'm going to hand this off to someone else to build a file, this is a way for them to see kind of what I have planned for how I want it to look. So I'm liking how that's looking. I'm going to zoom out, Command minus on the keyboard, or you can hit the Z key and you get this icon and hold down Option to zoom out, or you can just click. Now I'm going to show you how you can either break these apart and put them on artboards, or what would be easier is just to make these elements look how these ones are, and then just re-export them exactly how they are. So I know that this piece is this one right here when it was created. So I'm going to move this one right here so I can see it better. I'm going to click on that shape that's on this artboard, and I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, which is right here, and the shortcut key is I for that, and then click on this element. I want to change it to look as that one is. You can see if I undo, zoom in a little bit, you can see. So this is what it was, and I want it to look like this. You can see that changes. This inner shape is this one right here. So again, I'm going to click on this shape, eyedropper tool, click on here, and then it's going to update to match it exactly how that one is. This is our larger shape in back, which is this one right here. So again, click, eyedropper, click again, you can see that updates, and I can just go through each of these and update all of them to match. So all of my assets now are updated the way that I want them to be. I'm going to save this file as intro-new, just so I don't overwrite any of the other files in case I want to go back and use those again. And then export is command. Actually, that's not correct. I changed my shortcut key. So you want to go to export, export as, and then you want to click on PNG if it's not already highlighted, because you want these to retain a transparency. And you want to click on use artboards. Now if I wanted to only export a few of the artboards, I can click on range and then choose the number of artboards, the range of ones I'm going to do, but it's easier, just click all and export. And then you can use these as their set default settings. Click OK. Then it's going to export them in the folder that I chose. Now, I previously gave these files to Andrew so he can show you how we're going to replace those files that he currently has with our new look. But really quickly, let me show you one other thing that we can do in here. If you want to change shape, just move these off to the side. I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of see this. Say instead of that hexagon shape, I wanted a square. So this over, if you press M on your keyboard, or if you click and hold down, you can get different shape options. I'm going to create a square. So you just draw that out, and currently my fill is set to not have anything, so it doesn't have that fill. But I want this to look pretty close to the same as what this file was before, but just as a square. So I'm going to click the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to click on this stroke of this shape, and it's going to fill it exactly as that shape is currently. Now I know that I want to have the same shape inside of the shape, only smaller, so I'm going to select this shape on a Mac to copy and paste. It's Command C and then Command F to paste in place. So that's on top of it now. And then I'm going to click and hold down the Shift and Option key, so it's going to scale proportionately down towards wherever your anchor dot is, and mine you can see is right there. So hold down Shift and Option, click, and you can see it's being scaled down exactly the same width and height to scale, only smaller. And if I don't want this stroke, I want this to be a fill instead, you can go over here and click on this and it'll swap that for you. Or you can hold down Shift and X, and that goes back and forth between stroke and fill. That's really handy sometimes. Now say I don't want this color or this gradient, I want maybe a darker blue. So I'm going to click on this swatch. Maybe that's a little too dark. Maybe I want to play with my sliders a little bit. Make something more, maybe like that. And then I know that I want one more of these shapes, these squares, inside of here, only smaller. So again, I'm going to Command C, Command F to copy and paste in place, and then to scale down, hold down Shift and Option, and then we're going to scale it down. And then maybe I want to make this color, maybe I do want to have our gradient in there, just like that. And if I want the same text, I'm going to select it, hold down Option to copy it, drag it over, and then Shift Command and then right bracket. You can bring objects to the front of other layers. And then I'm going to scale this down a little bit to make it fit. And there I have a new shape that I can then export all the pieces, and then I can bring in to Camtasia and edit and animate each piece as I would like to. So that's about all I have to show you in this file.
Nick, we've got a question here. Can you show us again where the Illustrator files can be downloaded?
Yes, so when you search for our templates in our library, I'm going to go back to my browser. Each template has its own page, and you can see your options to download right here. And this is our graphic source files zip file right here. And that's where all of those assets will live for each file.
And that contains JPEGs, PNGs, and EPS?
Illustrator file, so .ai, along with all the exported assets. Usually they will be saved out as PNGs, but depending on their purpose or what they are going to be used for, it may not always be that exact same case. Let me show you again the folder structure for this file exactly. So it's unzipped. This is how it looks. You can see all the different folders for each piece of this theme. And
so this is a little bit different for those of you that are wondering. You have the option inside of our library to download the full theme, which does contain callouts, half, intros, layouts, lower thirds, and transitions. Or you can download just each of those folders individually when you're digging through the library. So if you dig through the library and you look at themes, a theme will contain all of these items. If you look through our library and just look for intros or just look for lower thirds, these files will only contain what you're looking at. So you can see on Nick's screen, Nick, will you highlight where it says up at the top Camtasia theme above the demo, a little higher in the library. So right up there it says number 9214436. Yep, Tech Camtasia theme. So this is the full theme, and that's why you're seeing everything there. And if you remember when I downloaded the libzip object for PC and imported it into my library, it also contained all of them. So you'll get a lot more than just the intro theme if you download these files from the theme. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yes, Andrew, thank you. So like you said, all of those pieces make up a theme. So inside of a theme, like you said, we have all these folders for each piece. We also like to lay out each of these slides as we think they're going to look before they are built out and animated. So if you open up the file that's named by its theme, and this is called tech. So this file, you can see, I'll just do a preview for you so you can see kind of this includes all of the screens that make up intro 1, intro 2, all the way down to transitions at the very end. And this just kind of gives you kind of like a overview of all of these pieces that are included in this theme. So for this one specifically, intros, we did intro 1, and I opened up this file right here. And then when I exported it, I gave it a new name with the word new in it, and that's what these files are right here. Andrew, do we have any other questions I can answer before we hop back over to you to show them how to import these new assets?
No, I'm seeing a few other Camtasia focused questions here. So I will take back their presentation. But thank you, Nick. If you guys do have any other Illustrator questions, go ahead and let us know. We can bounce back to that if needed.
Most definitely.
Let's see here. All right, let's see if it pops up here. Okay, so here's my screen. I don't want to keep any of these changes that I made. There was a question of where the line is to increase the number of tracks that are visible. There's right here at the bottom of the canvas, you'll see that the mouse goes into the double-ended arrow, and that's where you can drag to make your canvas area bigger or shrink it down to allow for more tracks to be visible. I hope that answers that question. So here we are in the library. Now what we want to do is we want Nic's files to be brought back into Camtasia and to replace the files that are already in the template. The easiest way to do this is to bring in the template that you're going to be editing, which is right here, the tech intro. And I'm going to ungroup that again. And now we want to replace a lot of the items that Nic edited, replace the files that are in my template with the ones that Nic edited. So I know that what he edited was intro 1-new-2. That's one of the things he exported. So what we want to find, we can come into the media bin and we can find the original. So we need intro 1-02. So I'm going to scroll through here. Here it is, intro 1-02, and I'm going to right click on that and click update media. Now here I will navigate to his files right here, and here's intro 1-new-2. When I double click on that, it replaces the one that was in there with the new file. So his other one is intro 1-new-03. So here's 03. We'll right click, update media, navigate there. Here's the new file, and there it is. It's already changed it. So we'll go ahead and do that with all of them. There's intro 1-new-04. So let's find 04 here. Not seeing 04 visible. Let's see if we can find it below. Ungroup this top group. Nope, that's not the right file. Group 3. Ungroup. Oh, that's the one I just barely did. Let's see if we can find, let's see, here's 05. We're going to change 05. Update media to 05. That changed that color. And 06, which is the other hexagon. Update media videos. 06. Okay, there we go. So now that is all adjusted to all of the files that Nic had created, and that was pretty easy. He did change the font as well, so I went ahead and downloaded the new font. What was that called? EK Mutka right there. And so there you can see it change, and it does change the way it stands a little bit. So I'm going to shrink it down so it stacks, and that's how it looks right there. So that's the new file. Now, there was a question wanting to know how, once we've edited the slide and made it how we want it to say, made it all new, so we've edited the template and we want to make a new template out of it. What you'll do is you'll highlight everything that you've changed, you'll right-click and select Add to Library. So now it'll open up my library here in the left library pane, and it highlights it so I can rename it. So I'm going to name this the new template. We'll just call it new template. New template. And now if I want to share that with someone else, I can right click and click export selected assets, and it will export that template as a libzip file that I can then email or Dropbox or Google Drive to whoever I want to send that to. So Wendy had the question of if you're working with several people and they all need to have the same intro and they all have Camtasia, this is exactly how you would do it. You would create that intro once and then add it to your library and then export selected assets. So I hope that answers your question. There's another question here. How did we edit or how do we animate the hexagons, the background hexagons? So while they're playing, it's going to be very difficult for you to see because of the low frame rate in GoToWebinar, but those hexagons have a wave pattern. They're lighter, and then that lighter wave moves over here. What we need to do is find those hexagons. If I double click on them, you can see that there's a path of a tall path of hexagons. 1, 2, 3, 4 hexagons right here, and they're all inside this group called Group 1. So what we've done, if you click on that you can see that there's a behavior to this column of hexagons. It has a fade in. During it has fading to 21% opacity, and it has a 1.8 second loop time. So what we did to get that is we gave all of the columns, each of these columns, that behavior, and all we did was offset the loop time. So you can see this one is a 2-second loop time. This one has a 1.9 second loop time. This one has a 1.6 second loop time. And if you wanted to change the colors there, you could change them the same way you did before in Illustrator. Or you can, change them using the colorizer or other animation options here in the visual effects menu. There's color adjustment, colorize. You can add a drop shadow or a border, something like that. Okay, glad we were able to answer your question. Are there any other questions really quick while I'm looking through here? Hopefully this all made sense while we're looking over the questions and we didn't miss anything. Just in case you did, we had a lot of technical difficulties right at the beginning. We would be happy to send a copy of this webinar to you if you joined late or if you were unable to join into the webinar. We'd love to, so when you registered, you gave us an email address and a phone number. We can reach out to you and send that webinar out to you. You're welcome to reach out to us as well. Here's our phone number and email address. You can reach out to us and get a copy of the webinar. We'll have you to send one your way. If you have more questions about Camtasia, if you have more questions about Illustrator, about any of our template files at all, we'll be happy to send this to you. I'm not seeing too many questions about the webinar topic here about Camtasia. We'll see you in a month, and thanks a lot for joining. Have a good one.